let's get started. My name is Yang Rose. I'm the VP of Product at Katalon. So thank you, you guys, on for joining webinar with us today. The topic that we have today is effective orchestrations of test automations and DevOps with Katalon. Joining with me here today, we also have Lynn. She's one of the panelists. She will have answer your questions. So if you have any, you can put into the Q&A section. We have people during the webinar to answer that for you. And we might also cover the rest until the end of the webinar. Right, we have a very lean agenda today. So firstly, I'm gonna give a quick introductions about Katalon Studio and Katalon TestOps. And then we're gonna talk about QA orchestrations, what is QA orchestrations, why it becomes so important today, and how Katalon TestOps implement QA orchestration to make it happen. Then we go to the demo, Katalon Studio and TestOps, and finally it will be in the Q&A section. So first of all, you might know already, Katalon Studio is built and positions at an all-in-one test generation solution. So 2020 is the second consecutive year that Katalon Studio was named as the best test automation software reviewed by our customer on Gartner. So if you want to have more information and feedback recommend of user, you can take a look on Gartner. So we have to say not on the feedback that we have in Gartner on positive feedback, but it's on good for us as long as we have the returns from our customer in order to make our software better. So for all-in-one test generation solution, we mean that Katalon Studio will cover more of the end-to-end environment, just as like web UI testing, mobile testing, API testing, also desktop testing. We are also have under development other type environment, such as like COI, and it's gonna be available this year. So with more environment that we cover, we have that our customer will only need one tool to verify and test the quality of on the application that they have. With Katalon Studio, we cover more of the latest environment with on mobile with Android and iOS. We always keep update to the latest versions. We also have latest versions of Chrome, Firefox, Microsoft Edge, Internet Explorer, and Safari as well. Another point is for all-in-one test generation solutions. It will have our development environment, not only in Windows and Mac, but also in Linux. So we know today many people who have their favorite OS is Linux, and they can also use Katalon Studio to develop the test, which means that it allows company to utilize all of the resources, all of the capacity that they have to develop their tests. And now we also have Katalon Studio available on cloud platform such as Docker, Azure DevOps, or Amazon. So with Katalon Studio available on cloud platform, we also enable test execution remotely with cloud environment. So nowadays, everybody might have problem with COVID things that we need to work from home. The available of infrastructures in cloud will help people to connect to Katalon Studio and use it everywhere. So with Katalon Studio, the vision is to make automated testing be accessible for everyone. Meanwhile, with Katalon TestOps, we deliver the solution at an enterprise-ready platform for QA orchestration, test analytics, and reporting system. So TestOps will help coordinate various activity, cycles, frameworks in software testing to ensure software quality in every step of your software development. And also, you don't need to sacrifice your speed, and you don't need to have people with DevOps skill to make that happen. Also, TestOps provide dashboard and reports for you to know status about quality of your application. So with TestOps, you will have the control on of the status about quality of your system, and you can also have enable quality on of the state of your software development. So this is the architectures of TestOps that we have today. So as you might know before, Katalon TestOps were named Katalon Analytics. At that point of time, it was in the beta version that we have the data collection component. So the data collection component will have collect on the execution result from Katalon Studio and also from other sources, such as from Java testing projects, or also like Node.js testing project. With the data collection, we have on the information that we have after the executions. And then we have the test analytic component to shows the execution result, to have the logs, also checks and trend of your executions. And from that data, you can investigate the quality of execution results of your test. And also you have insights on the quality of your product. And then when we have more and more users using our product, we know more about the need from our customer and also know more about the trend that we have on automation testing. At that point of the time, we involve into TestOps that we have today. We see the combinations of test management and also DevOps into one system. So you can see here we have that management component, which is allow you to manage the requirement from your application lifecycle management, such as Jira or Azure DevOps, and then also Cascade and test run to help you have the full cover, also defects, to help you have the full requirement coverage that allow you to know that what requirement you have there you not have test case to cover already, or how many defects can be linked to requirement. We can block the requirement from deliver. Other than that, we have the test planning component. So for test planning is the place that you have planned your test with the release, and also with APIs and CI stuff can hook the execution in your CI/CD pipeline. So once your execution is under planning, you can make it trigger from your CIs, or also do it manually or scheduling by your tester. We also have the test execution component. So with this component, you can configure your test to run on your local environment and also on cloud infrastructures. Here we have Kubernetes and Circle CI is the environment that you can configure to run your test on. So if you have your local environment, you can leverage it. If you don't, you can configure your test to run with the cloud infrastructure. Also, when we have the full pictures of that management and planning, we will create a quick feedback loop to other system like Jira. So in Jira, if you have requirement, we will let you know that what happened with the test case in your requirement, and also feedback to other system like GitHub, Slack, and email, would give you have a very quick understanding about what happening with your system. So as we have with TestOps today is really a combination of test management for you to have understand about the quality, full quality of your product, but also about the DevOps parts we hook you to the CI/CD pipeline to really make your automation testing become continuous testing. All right. So let's talk about QA orchestration. So QA orchestrations is automated configurations, coordinations, and management of system and software to achieve quality objective with minimal issue in time. So that's the definition. And also in the work quality report 2012, 2021, this is a saying about QA orchestration in Agile and DevOps. So the adoption of Agile and DevOps is steadily increasing. As the result, the QA team become the orchestrators of quality, which means that QA now they will not only care about their job at the testing stuff only, but it also connect and coordinate to other part of the software development lifecycle. So the risk and the complexity associated associated with software development had gone up significantly, and that's the reason why it creates more and more pressure to assure the high qualities of testing. At the same time, the need to do faster and cheaper is more important than ever. So as software become faster, risk become higher, and we have more pressures. That's why we have QA orchestration today. So let's take a look in more detail here for the top reason why that we need to consider QA orchestration to control our testing quality today. Firstly, as we might know that nowadays every company is software company. So the performance of software will become the performance of their business. Software today drive the success of business. So the quality and the performance of software becomes really the core success of the company. So how to make the software deliver on time to meet the market need, also keep it with high quality to keep your customer with you is something that super important today. Also, when we have more software there, of course, the risk and the complexity with software increase significantly. Nowadays, you need to manage the quality and the availability of the whole system and to prevent it from on kind of like attack. And also nowadays we have to stay at home most of the time due to like the epidemic. Software also become more important for to connect, and it also introduce more risk. The QA now they not only have to cover the quality of the product under development, but also before and when it run on production. And finally, tax and cost is of course something that crucial to business. When we have more company doing software, it means that we have more competitors. And for competitor, for a new company with couple of people, they can create software and run real quick, and they can beat the software from some giant if they just do it slow and they cannot deliver on time. So the need for enterprise to become faster and cheaper is more important than ever for them to keep their market if they don't want to be defeated. Someone just getting farther and cheaper than them. So performance, risk management, also time and cost, the crucial reason why we need to consider QA orchestration today. So this is another view of TestOps at the QA orchestration solution. These pictures look a little bit overwhelming. If you can take a look on the left side, it's something might be very familiar to QA or testing. What we have in the left side the testing flow. So of course, it begins with some kind of planning that we have with release. And then for a certain release, we'll also plan for the strategy that we need to approve for testing. And that component really covered by TestOps by the release and test run module. So we have the release and test run module at test planning to help you cover the planning phase in testing flow. And then we move to the design test phase. In this phase, first of all, we need to have requirement. And requirement can be retrieved from your application lifecycle management, so that Jira, Azure DevOps, we mentioned already. So for requirement, you will know what you need to test, and you can design your test case already. Then you're gonna pack your test case in Squid in order to optimize your executions and in order to make your execution happen in the business flows. And then we also have the defect modules. This will also give you more details about the result of your execution, which I mentioned before that requirement, test case, test suite, and defect will give you a full coverage about the state, the quality of your requirement, and also the quality of your release. So when we have release, requirement, test case, test suite, and defect in one system, what you can imagine is you know exactly for your release how many requirements you have your test to cover, how many requirements that already execute but they had defects. You also know that for a requirement in your release, there are certain critical defects that link to that requirement. So with that coverage on hand, it helps you better to make the deliver decisions. Then move on to the another phase of testing flow. It's gonna be execution. So for the execution phase, we support multiple time of execution for single, parallel, and dynamic. For dynamic here, if we can select the test case that we want to execute at runtime. So the capability is something that we develop to make sure that when you have many test case that you need to execute, but you can collect the more important one that you might want to execute in order to fasten your speed. So as we know already, speed is very important. So we have many test case, it's good, but if we know exactly what we want to execute is also better. That the capability that we aim to develop for our user. Also for the execution phase, we have environment with multiple infrastructures, not only your local, but also like Kubernetes, Circle CI, and also Task Cloud. So Task Cloud is a service that under development that we plan to deliver it this year. So with Task Cloud, we will have a user and customer who do not really have environment in-house can easily have and set up a full execution with all of the latest execution environment just in a minute. We also have tech sections. There's something that we deliver in order to monitor the executions of your test in one sections. So for the running phase, we have environment, we have tech sections, and also script repository to cover that for the workflow. That's the configuration part that we have in TestOps. Then after execution, we have reports. And of course, we collect on the result of the executions. And it's gonna be a place for you to quickly investigate what happened with your test. If all of the test is part is good, you have some problem with that, we have you to quickly investigate what's going on. We also provide reports that help you to see the performance, see the trend, or see the flag in it, and also some of the problem that you might have with your test in order to optimize and plan your test better. And finally, these are analytics component. We also have the basic report, which give you the quality of your product. We have also have advanced an AI report that under development to help you give more insight and details about what part of your product you can improve, what problem in your system that can be you should focus on, and also give you more insight to improve the productivity of your test. So going through testing workflow, we will have on the modules and component in TestOps to cover all of those, and we have all of them in one place, which means that help user to automatically configure, manage, and execute the test to help them achieve QA orchestration. All right. So moving forward, we will have a use case for you to demonstrate how it works with Katalon Studio and TestOps that will help you to generate a test script and then configure and schedule your test to run in minutes. So firstly, we are gonna create a test script in Studio and upload to Git. And then we prepare a script repos in TestOps by connecting to your Git. We will set executions just a minute. Then we create the test environment. And again, this can be your local machines or your cloud infrastructures. And finally, when you have on that, you will schedule your test. And we'll see how it works with all of them in our next demo, right? So this is Katalon Studio. And firstly, I gonna let me clone my project from Git. So I have Git project here, right? We have the information already. All right. Okay. So this is empty project that I have already in Git, and I will clone it into Katalon Studio. Right. So firstly, I gonna create a test script. So I gonna create a test script in website katalon.com. All right. So my test script gonna be, firstly, I will then submit a ticket. Then, right, I need to move. Okay, go, put something here. So it costs, it should be fail. And I will try to verify the text. So it's gonna be a fail test case. Let me check real quick. The Swift, mouse over, click sign. All right, so I will rerun this to check if it worked. All right, so test been passed. I have a success test case already. We will verify incorrect image, options, see the result. It's gonna be a demo test case. Right. Also have that object zeroed in here. So it's gonna be a demo test with at the test case that I just created the test with, and then I will have a quick collection. All right. And I will commit everything. Oh, let me see. Just all right. Let's double check. See if we have okay. We have new stuff here. And then this is test off. If you don't already ready, I will. So we had the dashboard with the summary of the highlight that we have. So we filter here for width. You have to see the total test run, execution time, and also ASIN. And I mentioned before that in the test management, we have requirement, test case, test with defects. And also for the report and the analytics. For the demo today, I will focus more on how to execute the test that I just created. So firstly, I will set up a script repository, right? So it's gonna be the same I have here with username, password, and personal access token. So it's something that you can follow our guide here to get the information. Right, it should be demo test of project. Right, so we have the project configured already and the collection here that we can select to execute. Then we have, so firstly, I need to set up my agent. So as I mentioned already, for this demo, I will set up a local agent. So firstly, you're gonna download this. Uh, so I have this download already here. And then you're gonna run a couple commands we provided to you already to set up your agent. So you only need to download the agents and run a couple of commands that we provided here. So we had it set up. And this time, right? So it's gonna take maybe a minute to be available. In the meantime, so agent gonna be here, and when it's done, you will be see the status of that. When I have done with the script repo agent setup, that you can see I just do it in just a minute. I move to test planning. So for test planning here, in schedule run. So I select the script repository. It's gonna be demo test off. Maybe the daily executions. We have multiple options here for the type of the executions, but we have the test with collection already. So just set it up. Here, I'm gonna select the local test environment and also specify the version that I want to execute and some of the advanced configurations, right? Now I have a test planning. So my point here is to create a nightly view for the execution. So again, demo executions. All right. In the meantime, let me recheck test environment if we have it available or not. Okay, so we have the test agent available. You're gonna create a trigger, and with the trigger created, we also run it for the first time, right? And it's gonna be running on my local environment. So so in this meantime, let me introduce you a little bit more about the stuff that we have here. For the report, we have test run, which give the detail on the execution that we have. We can drill down into the execution to see on the result. So this is the test is running. Okay, let's just make it run. All right. So should be okay in a second. And we can see the result. Right, but let me just continue here. We have the test result. We can go to the test, and you can see here we have a quick overview about the step that had been go through. You can also link to defects from the result of the execution if you have it configured. Also create some tasks. So task is also something that you need to deal with for the result. Normally when you have failed execution, it's something you need to deal with. We also have visual testing. It's a new component that we have TestOps visions. And all other things that you have requirement, test case, API, and so on. And again, for the test environment, you also use Kubernetes or also Circle CI if you have the setup. So on the setup can just happen in second. If you make it ready, we have it for you. Right, so since we have the execution that had been executed successfully, as you can see, I just create a new task case with mouse over verifications and then put it into Git and set up the whole agents, environment, projects, and schedules just in like 5 to 7 minutes. And what we have today is we can keep the task running day by day for us. Of course, we can make it trigger with CI/CD or also trigger on code chain. Right. So here we would love to hear the feedback from you for the webinar before we move to the last section. So I will on the poll now. So please take your time to give up some feedback. And in that meantime, we'll try to cover the question that you have today. Right, let me in Q&A section. Okay, for a question of Yaroslav, I'm sorry if I cannot pronounce your name correctly. You asked for, I'm using Azure DevOps along with Azure Test Plan. Will I be able to run my script of tests in Azure pipeline? So then after execution, it will be reported back to my reference test case in test plan. It is possible to link my Katalon automation test case with manual test suite in Azure DevOps. So it's something that we will we working on and we will deliver in the next version of Katalon Studio. So it's gonna be exactly as you mentioned that you can link your test in Azure DevOps to automation test in Studio, and then when you configure your test to run with your pipeline, the execution result gonna be reported back to Katalon, to Azure DevOps. So another very interesting question from Pravina. Are we saying we can integrate test management tool with Katalon TestOps? Are we saying we can use Katalon TestOps and the test management tool as well? So here for Katalon TestOps that we have introduced to you already, we can do it both for you that you can integrate your test management system as you already do today with Katalon Studio. So Katalon Studio and Katalon TestOps is both a part of our Katalon platform. And yet first, we can help you integrate with your test management system if you have already, like Qtest, TestRoute, TestLin, or other system that you have. But yet, you can also leverage TestOps and a test management tool as well. Okay. Another question from Jeff is also something that we have with manual test case in Azure DevOps and test script in Katalon Studio. So I think it's the same that we provided already. It's something we're going to deliver in our next release of Katalon. So of course, you guys can access to recording. Yep. So another question from German. Did the features make the Katalon runtime engine obsolete? So as I mentioned already, Katalon Studio, also Katalon runtime engine, and TestOps is a part of our Katalon platform. And the way that we have multiple choice, it depends on the need of our user. So we know there are cases that our users only have Katalon Studio and execute it by Excel. Also, our customer have their CI/CD already, and they want to use the Katalon runtime engine to run with their CI/CD. But also, their customer, they don't have anything set up yet. So in this case, we had TestOps also be the test management and also the CI/CD for them. So it's not really obsolete as you use TestOps. You don't need to have like runtime engine, but it's just the case that if you have configured test cloud using test cloud in our execution, you're gonna don't need to use the runtime engine. But as you see already, even if you use TestOps, you can leverage the agent to execute. But with the agent, you also need to have the API key and the license of the runtime engine to make it execute. So, I mean, we provide different options for our user to have, and they can pick the option that they prefer. So another one questions from an anonymous attendee. Katalon tests are free. So we have multiple tier for our user and customer. So it's gonna be free tier, advanced, and expert tier. So we hope that with the free version that we have is still good enough for user to have in order to deal with the problem that they have regarding to report and CI/CD stuff. But when you will have more complicated situation to handle or the need enterprise, you might need to move a higher tier to have that feature for you. Question from Mohammed: can we integrate this with Zenkin? So of course, as I shares in the test planning, we have API for connect to the schedule of test run from Zenkin. So you can say that if you install Zenkin with the Zenkin plugin, you can connect to the execution, the stuff that you configure already and in your test app. All right, so there's still many questions there that I'm afraid that I cannot make it all in this meeting today. So we will have cover it on to you later. All right. So thank you all for joining with us today in the very first time that we introduce Katalon TestOps. We're happy to have your feedback and also the question from you in order to make our other session better and also improve our product better. We will have more webinar and will show and introduce more specific problem that you might have today and introduce our solution to have it cover the problem that you have today. So it's time to say goodbye. Thank you.